Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Global News Money Review. My name is Ola, and I am the founder of the Money With Club. I am actually a financial educator. And basically, what we do in my company is that we teach people how with your finances, either corporate or individuals, right? And these sessions are just designed for you to actually understand what's happening in the economy and how it actually impacts your pockets, because it does, whether or not you like it. And so we will be reviewing what's happening, picking a couple of news reports, and then unpacking them and telling you what you should be doing or what you should consider doing. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our Substack news report, a newsletter that comes out every week, and follow us on social media. Yeah. And also subscribe. Yeah, I haven't said that much in recent times. But let's start with what's happening globally. So the first news that I want to highlight is from China. China recently this week, so they had announced earlier, but this week it was actually done, where they issued $2 billion worth of bonds, USD bonds. So Chinese government, like the Chinese government, not a Chinese company, the Chinese government issued $2 billion worth of bonds, USD bonds in Saudi Arabia. And I'm sure you may have seen news and you're like, okay, what's the big deal? Now, what is the big deal? The big deal is really that things are changing, and they are changing right before our eyes. Now, there was something called the petrodollar agreement, where Saudi Arabia was had an agreement with the US where they would always sell crude oil in dollars, and they were also required to buy US sovereign bonds, right, with the proceeds. And then earlier this year, if you've been following this weekly news reviews, we would have talked about it, and we highlighted the fact that it was a 50-year agreement and it came to an end, and Saudi Arabia was refusing to renew it as it was, meaning that they were going to have to make some changes to that agreement. Now, on the other side, there's also something called the BRICS, where there are a couple of countries who are coming together to form an economic coalition, and Saudi Arabia, Russia, China are part of that block of countries, right? And there's been a lot of talk about them trying to create their own currency, do their own thing, break out from the American hold, break America from being a world power type thing, right? And then there's been a lot of, oh, they can't do it because, I mean, everybody knows most of those countries are not easily accessible by the world, right? So America has an advantage of being free and being open to everyone. Now, fast forward to this, what has happened literally is that, in actual fact, what China has done is that China has found a way to actually raise USD and to give people an investment opportunity, such that you can actually be investing in USD, but you are investing in China. And it's in South Africa, it's in Saudi Arabia. What are they saying? We all know that USD is the currency of the world, right? USD is the currency that everybody literally has a currency pair with the USD. What do I mean? You might not be able to convert naira directly to CDs, or you might not be able to convert euros directly to Kenyan shillings, but you convert euros to dollars and dollars to Kenyan shillings, because both the Europeans and the Kenyans have the dollar as a trading pair. And that's how it is generally. But what has happened right now is that, number one, the rate on that was pretty much comparable to the US treasuries, right? And then when you put into fact that, okay, that Saudi Arabia agreement is no longer there, right, where they have to buy the US treasuries, what you have done is that you have given them another investment opportunity. China has given them another investment opportunity, and they can raise capital easily. It has worked. They said they would start with 2 billion, and it was like over 5 times oversubscribed, meaning that there was massive demand for it, showing that there's a market, and then the rates are as good as US treasuries. So what have they done technically? They've created direct competition with the US. Now, why is this a thing? It's generally a thing because the US is coming up to say that they're going to increase tariffs significantly on Chinese produced goods. Then we also know that the Chinese government is also thinking that they're going to so we're also thinking that Chinese government in response, number one, has done this. Number two, they're going to probably try and devalue their currency, which is something that has always been a thing. So if you've seen of the US-China trade war, this is it right in front of us. It's a trade war. Nobody's sending bombs to one country or the other. No. But what's literally happening is that as those tariffs are being increased, everyone that is in that value chain is going to be impacted, right? So what are we saying? We need to keep an eye. Nobody is sleeping. People are coming up with creative ways to actually say that going forward, US will not be the country of the world, and US is definitely going to fight back in one way or the other. In also trying to, well, it's their currency, right? So they still have some control. But I'm waiting to see how US will respond to this. But for you as an individual, understand that if you are doing anything that has to do directly between China and the US, you have to find a way to layer it so there's no direct relationship, because all this tariff drama back and forth is going to impact businesses on that value chain. Just as a heads up. And then the next interesting news, for everyone who is an Alphabet investor, Alphabet is the parent company of Google. So Alphabet is the company that owns Google, Android, Google Search, Google Maps. Yes, they are the company, right? And we reported a while back, I think like in August, September, that the US Department of Justice was saying that officially Google is running a monopoly, right? And so they need to break up. And so at that point, we analyzed the different things, how they would spin off, how it would impact, how it would impact investors in the stocks, and how it will impact users, right? And how it impacts people in the tech space, creating solutions that could actually leverage on the opening up of the market. But now that was an announcement then. But right now, what has happened is that the Department of Justice has actually filed what they want to happen. Now, what are they saying they want to happen? They want Google to actually sell their search, like this, what's it called? Diverse, not this, but diverse their search service. Now, let me explain why this is key, and it is very, very significant. And Google is actually responding saying that this is our internet intellectual property you are telling us to make for free, or to just get, like, you want to shut us down. But if you do not know, right, every time you do a search on Google, you are giving Google data. What do I mean? Imagine someone who just had a baby, or no, imagine someone who's expecting a baby, a woman who's expecting a baby, and she starts searching for foods to eat. Imagine you see someone searching for foods to eat in third trimester, um, how to fix a backache in third trimester, exercises for backache in third trimester, shopping list for children in third trimester. You know, with all that information, there's a 70-80% chance that this person is expecting a baby. Is either expecting a baby or is close to someone expecting a baby. That's one. And then when you now see how to cure hiccups in a newborn, then how to dress a newborn in cold weather, you know, what have you said? The baby that we saw that time has arrived. Do you understand? Now, where does this matter? It matters because as you keep doing those searches, Google can actually plot a map for you based on your IP, saying that okay, you search for third trimester information. Let's say what we are in November. You search for third trimester information in October. So then in November, you are checking for hiccups for a baby. So it means that the baby arrives somewhere between October and November, and such that in a year's time the baby will be needing maybe baby should start working. So what should baby need? Baby shoes. So you start seeing baby shoes in your ads in a year's time, right? And then you start seeing and maybe in 4 years time you start seeing, maybe on 3 years time start seeing bicycles. What has happened there is that those data points, all things being equal, this is the natural trajectory. And so when you say Google ads are effective, it's because of that data. So when the justice is going for search, they are trying to kill Google die. Because that is actually, and then things like Google Maps. You go to a new location, you are on vacation in Montenegro, and you search for one thing to another, from how to get to one place that you see as a fun place to visit, right? What have you told Google? You are here. right? You arrive at the airport, you call a cab. What have you told Google? You are here, you are in that location. Do you understand? Such that if there are things, so if someone is saying, if someone is trying to sell travel information or travel guides or whatever, right? You are the perfect person for it. So you see that search that you think is a search, you are actually giving good data that they can use to sell, to help somebody else sell their product better, right? So that's why their search and then their ads, right, is key for them. So when the Department of Justice is coming to say sell your search, make some things free. If this doesn't work, divest Android. It's like kill Google, die, literally, right? And for us, as investors, we have critiqued what could happen, what could go wrong, blah blah blah, the pros and the cons. And maybe I will search and find that video and link it to this, so you can just naturally, or you can scroll through our live replays and you would find it, because we really to happen is that the December, Google is going to come and file their own counter, because the law definitely does state that you can't be a monopoly. There can't be, there must always be competition. So definitely somehow or the other, Google is going to be forced to scale back. But will they be forced to? But then the Department of Justice is saying that is that their search that is giving them that advantage, and no matter what, if they still hold on to that search, is no, so we're going to have to look out for that and watch it on play, watch it unpack itself, right? Why? Because this could significantly impact the value of the shares of Google going forward, especially if you are an investor. Now, moving on, if you don't know already, please follow us on social media. Yeah, our Substack newsletter link is there if you haven't already. And of course, if you have any questions, I'm resuming my weekly education content on YouTube. So if you have any money questions, please always drop them. Please drop them in the comment section that we're resuming. So we want to answer the questions that people have, especially as we're winding or we're rolling into a new year, right? And so let's move quickly. South Africa is now going to be leading the G20. Now, G20 is a body of, it was 19 countries and then the EU, but recently, last year, Africa Union joined the bloc. Basically, they guide the drive policy, the advanced, a couple of the advanced nations, most of the countries there on that list or in that group are advanced nations of the world, and they hold, I think if I remember correctly, about 75% of the world's economy. So whatever they say actually matters, right? So South Africa is now going to lead the presidency in 2025, lead the G20 in 2025, and they're going to host the summit. Now, it's not really a big deal because the rotation. The last time South Africa led was in 2007, and I mean G20 was set up in 1999. So it's a rotation, but I believe that it's good timing because Africa, there needs to be a good focus on Africa in terms of policy, in terms of implementation. So we'll say congratulations to South Africa on that. And we look forward to the policies and the initiatives and the implementation of those policies, because I mean, a lot of times the kickback that people have against G20 is that they just come and talk, right? But we hope that in this time where South Africa will be leading, there will actually be some major policy decisions and that would impact Africa profitably, positively, right? And we look forward to them coming up in 2025. So big ups on that. And then finally, Nigeria. Nigeria is going to rebase their consumer price index and their GDP. Consumer price index, let me just use a simple scenario. It's just like imagine a basket. The basket is supposed to represent what people generally tend to buy in an economy. So the basket, for example, in Nigeria, will have tomatoes, would have call credit, it would have yam, rice, bread, it would have onions, things like that. So it's a basket. And how it is done is that so if one tomato is 5 naira, or let's know you want tomato, let's use a basket of tomatoes. So when they set up the basket of tomatoes was, let's say, 1,000 naira, right? And then the price of data was, let's just use data for a month to cost you 1 naira, just random, but you add all those values together, right? And that forms the base. And so that base will be seen as 100. the base. And then what happens is that every year, as we keep going from that base, you begin to compare um where is tomato, where's the basket of tomato, where is data price, where is the cost of phone calls, where is transportation, where is bread, a loaf of bread, a bag of flour, things like that in that basket. And they will be comparing to that base. Now, what they are saying basically is that they want to change the base. The last time there was a rebasing exercise was in 2014, and the prices of things have significantly changed, number one. And then two, the things that are key that every Nigerian needs has changed also. For example, because of the pandemic, the dependence on data has significantly increased compared to before, right? Another thing also, in terms of the weighing of the basket, meaning what impacts what in the basket, food has become more of a thing for people in terms of their what they spend their salary on than before. And transport is also more of a thing than it was before. So they're saying they're going to rebase the basket. Now, what's technically going to happen is that if, for example, you were comparing against 2014, where maybe dollar was at what, 360 or 280, I'm not even sure exactly where, and you're comparing prices to now, it will look like, oh, inflation has quadrupled. But when you compare to something closer, it doesn't look so bad. Yeah. So that's actually what's going to happen. Now, is it something that is usually done? Yes. And then it's ideally, I don't you do those rebasing when there has been a significant change. So it's valid to do the rebasing. But then for us, what it might not help with is the fact that if we same prices have risen as individuals in the country, the fact that you're saying that inflation year on year or whatever, or inflation numbers have stabilized or at 10% doesn't change the facts that people are struggling to pay bills and stuff, right? So beyond all that financial engineering, which is needed and is valid, I think the focus should be more on actually improving people's lives. Yeah. And this note, I want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone that joined the session. I see a couple of people there. Sorry, I didn't ask you to say hi, but it'll be nice for you to say hi and let's know who's here. But thank you, and please subscribe to this channel and click the notification button so that you know when next we're live. Take care and have a beautiful weekend. Oh, I forgot. I'm going to be on Arise in about an hour. So if you're in Nigeria or if you're online, Arise TV, I'll be live at about 10:15 GMT plus one. So that's why I'm all ready to go. Today, not looking very chill that is Saturday morning, but yes, tune in if you can. Bye.